Block.
And good afternoon or good morning, wherever you happen to be. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Tom and Shane, another video to help small business get a little closer to that black bottom line. We're happy to be here with you, Tom Eaglehoff and Shane Madobin. Today's topic, we're going to talk about how to create word of mouth advertising for your small business. And that's pretty good topic, wouldn't you say, Shane?
Oh, it's a huge topic because it's something that helps you engage with the locals, particularly in a small town and a brick and mortar operation. But even on the net, when you're dealing with global sales and the potential for social networking, word of mouth is basically social networking.
Yeah.
And so, whether you type it to pass on your word of mouth comments or you share them with people in your town, terrific thing. People getting to know you. It's a great song.
That's for sure. Well, we've all suggested a movie to somebody at one time or another, or a book, or maybe the two radio guys on Saturday from 8 to 11 on kmmsam.com. I mean, why would you not want to listen to those guys? They're so fabulous that, I mean, come on.
And award-winning.
And award-winning as well. So, yeah, you got to get those two guys on your listener list. So, but yeah, and of course, if people don't know, Shane, you were in the restaurant business for many years, and I can't think of another business other than maybe the movies where word of mouth is more critical to the success of a restaurant. Because if you don't have good food, if you don't have good ambiance, if you don't have good waiters, waitresses, there's so many things that go into that people will either leave the restaurant shouting your praises, or they will tell you that it sucks. You don't even want to go anywhere near. Don't even go to the same block that restaurant's on.
That's right. I mean, in a full service restaurant, you're going to have maybe anywhere from 3 to 6 people that will contact you within the restaurant during your visit and your meal. And that's why it's called full service. You go into McDonald's, you'll meet the person that checks you in and the person that hands the bag to you to check you out. So that's the least service you can possibly get. And they're trying to cut that down with robots. But having said all that, yeah, it's a major reality that human beings like to gossip, like to talk, and like to have something to talk about. And so a shared experience that they've had with other people in a setting of business is always something for them to tell people about. And the funny thing is that it doesn't need, it's especially positive because they'll say, oh, I went to such and such store the other day and I picked out the nicest thing for my granddaughter, or, my daughter, or myself. So yeah, people talking is always important. And historically, 2 things were important. Fifth Avenue back in the 40s and 50s created this whole consensus in marketing. And it evolved into a tradition called the water cooler we all know about. Well, I don't know. Now it's post-COVID, who knows? Yeah. But, there was a saying, on a Monday morning, everyone would meet at the water cooler or the coffee stand, where you get your coffee. And you talk about the movie or what you did over the weekend with whoever was standing there. So it's a great way for people to engage and share their life, because people do want to share their life.
Yes, they do. Well, a lot of people think probably word of mouth, there's no control over that. It either happens or it doesn't. But what we want to talk about today is how to create some positive word of mouth. And in starting doing that, one thing that will create positive word of mouth is setting some word of mouth goals. What do you want to have happen within your, within your business that will generate conversation outside your 4 walls? And there's several ways to do that. Of course, in the restaurant business is over and above service, obviously good food and all of that. And but in a other type stores, mainly it's the shopping experience. And that's something that a lot of people kind of they deal with the what's happening inside their four walls from a monetary standpoint and maybe a profit standpoint, and um, they don't really focus on the human aspect, Shane.
That's correct. And when Tom mentions creating certain goals, you've already done that in your business plan and your revenue plan. So there's nothing wrong with you sharing those two documents, your revenue plan and your anticipated
Mhm.
revenues in the future for the next 5 years. That's a positive thing for employees to see, as is in your advertising or marketing program, because
Mhm.
that should be a part of it. Certain goals or setting certain goals should be an actual section in your marketing program. Very important because of so many accesses to advertising that you can use, but sometimes you can't afford it. It's not,
Mhm.
anything is an additional expense that reduces your paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So, that it's a bit personal. And this
Mhm.
is one that there's literally no cost to.
Yeah. Well, the next thing we want to talk about is marketing goals and objectives must be specific. In other words, if we're gonna control word of mouth, we need to have a goal of what we want our word of mouth to accomplish, and how are we going to do that? If one example that we have is returns. If you're getting a lot of returns in your business, then okay, we're going to maybe spend more time with the employees about explaining to the customer the return policy or whatever, and making sure the customer, um, the purchase they've made is it's that they really want that product, that they don't want to return it or whatever. And over time, we can reduce the number of returns, which in the other hand, will increase our customer satisfaction, which is what we want to do. So there are some ways to do this effectively.
That's right. And marketing goals and objectives can be, clearly outlined again in your marketing plan. I think that it's really incumbent on people, even if it's a virtual business or brick and mortar, to get involved in local things. I mean, every small town has at least one school. So there's all kinds of school things that you can get involved in, sports and different activities, the chess club, and be able to create a window for you to meet parents and other people, teachers and so forth that are potential clients. And it's one of the great ones that I had for my business when I went into the financial industry, and my girls were in junior high, was to set up a Japanese student exchange program with the parent teachers, and then we got the school board to approve it, and it became a huge success. And what we would do is exchange our daughters with a family in Japan for 2 weeks. And so it was a great experience for the children to go. But as a result, we had, a big luncheon and when they, to talk about it when they left. So you got to hand out cards to everyone and meet all the kids. And then when they came back, we had a big dinner to welcome them back. And so, these types of things you can put into place in your marketing goals and objectives that, once again, a potluck is not a big expense, and you can get a lot of people to a potluck at school.
Yes, you can. That's for sure. Well, Donna's with us. Donna says hi, Tom. Hey, Donna. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you very much chiming in here with us. Always a pleasure. And well, the biggest thing, I guess, Shane, the number one word of mouth problem is customer complaints. Uh, there, you need to uh, you need to make it easy for the customer to complain. We've always preached this, that if there should be some kind of a maybe. Some restaurants used to they'd pass out a little form, how was your meal? How was your service? Whatever, give them an easy way to complain, because if they leave that store, your place of business, unhappy, they're going to tell probably 10 people where they might have told 3 had a good experience, but they'll tell 10 you had a bad experience.
Yeah, that's always consistent with people, especially in the first world economies, which are capitalist. And in the context of capitalism, people have a right to choose, and they have the basic choice of what they need or they want. So, if someone comes in and buys something they want, that's really important. If they already know what they want, it's a lot easier to sell. It's a lot easier to deal with them. But if they come in and buy something, that they just want, that's a totally different experience for them. So in both experiences, you want to have a positive input and make them feel welcomed and comfortable. Where you just go to one part of the store and they look at the different products that you offer. It's always important to know the stores in your neighborhood too, and have maybe products that, at the front that you might notice are selling as other at other stores. The big box stores have had huge success in the last 30 years about having people line up and having all kinds of products either at a discount or just sitting there that are new products as people are waiting in line. So this is a great way to create a positive attitude for customers, is having other products that wouldn't necessarily go or naturally go with your store. But if you're able to pick something out from a distributor at a very inexpensive price and then offer it at what seems to be a very good price to the customer, that's a good thing. Because H&M, I go back to H&M because I want to see what they have waiting in line. Those are the best deals at H&M for me.
Okay. All right. Next, we've got to talk about word of mouth and employees. This is a double-edged sword, because this can operate inside your 4 walls plus outside your 4 walls. So, inside your 4 walls, one of my pet peeves has always been that owners and managers, if they're not on the premises physically, they need to empower somebody to act in their stead. Because you can't have a customer coming in with a complaint and there's no one there to handle that complaint. That's just going to escalate the unhappiness of the customer. So there has to be a way to make sure that this customer is taken care of if the owner, manager, or whoever supervisor is not on the premises. The other problem is that you need to create a work environment so that when the employee leaves the workplace, that they're not sitting on a bar stool somewhere talking about how horrible it is where they work and what a lousy manager you are, and how bad the products are, how overpriced they are, whatever. So we need to create an environment where going to work is, if you have to work, you might as well be happy working where you are. So create an environment where the employee can be happy while they're there. They're appreciated, and they'll go out and tell more people that, hey, it's a great place. I'm happy to be there. It's a good job.
Yeah. And yes. And Tom has defined this exceedingly well, because if you have a virtual business, you are it. You're the salesman, you're the manager, the operator. So this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but this is so important what Tom has said. And that's why if you have an establishment, a brick and mortar establishment with less than 5 employees, you don't really need a manager. You just need supervisors. So literally you can make all employees supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
And, if they have an issue with a customer and they say, well, is there someone in here that can deal with it? Oh, yes, I'm not just an employee. I'm a supervisory employee. So that makes the customer feel comfortable, and they're dealing with someone of authority and someone who can decide. And Tom is absolutely right that, they have to have the ability to make a snap decision about how to make the best situation for the customer to come about as they can. Because a happy customer is always a customer. We know that.
Mhm.
History has taught us that, and both Tom and I have the experience to tell you that's the way it works.
That's for sure. Absolutely. Well, and most customers, I mean, they don't want you to pay off their mortgage, as a to make them happy. Uh, Generally, they only want a couple things. One is a full refund, which an employee should be empowered to give a refund if that's what the customer wants, or they want a replacement of the product, or some way that they're made whole again. And if it was your error, then absolutely you do it. Even if it was their error, um, it depends on the circumstance, but you try to accommodate as best you can.
Well, that's
So,
right, and especially a customer, because you have to realize, and you want to tell your employees when you're training them, for someone to do this, come back with a product or to return it or to complain,
mm,
they have to make a conscious decision to organize their time, get the product and everything back together or packaged however they want, get in their car, drive or walk or takes the bus to your establishment, park if they drove, get off at the bus stop and so forth. So they've taken time. They've already
mhm,
spent, it could be anywhere from half an hour to an hour thinking about getting this done.
mhm.
So, a lot of people are very conscious of time management or their time. So, you got to be careful right off the bat because
Yeah, you do.
they're already
Mhm.
going, wow, I've had to do an hour to get this done. Right. So,
Yeah.
the minute they come in the store with "let's solve this problem," they're going, "Oh, wow, I was smart to do this, and this is the right store to come back to."
Hmm. Yeah, that's the important thing, and training your employees to sort of hold their emotions in check,
Mhm.
because you don't want the customer shouting at the employee, and you don't want the employee shouting back at the customer. So,
That's right.
you want to de-escalate and not escalate the situation between the two people. Uh, it's much easier to train your employees to listen to the person, listen fully, restate what they said so that they know you understand their issue, and then solve it. It's pretty simple.
Mhm. Yeah, you don't wanna make it dramatic, you wanna make it successful, and, a
Yeah.
successful issue like this is easily solved. If you don't have the product to replace it, replace it with something else.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to send it away, then tell them that you'll send it away, but here's the product to replace it, and if it comes back repaired, you can always put it in, been repaired, works well, we're selling it for $10.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of solutions to any problem. I always look for the easiest solution and the one that will bring a customer back to you again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the final word, obviously, is we want to retain customers, but we also want to do our part within our stores and within our places of business to make sure that when people leave, they're leaving positively. They're leaving with a positive attitude. Same with the employees. We want the employees to say, "Well, boy, that was really a good day I had today. I got
Mhm.
these sales, and we took care of this customer, and we took care of this complaint." And they can go home happy and not beat the wife or kick the dog,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
go into
The
road
secondhand
rage.
response, is that what you're talking about? The secondhand response?
Yeah, yeah, no road rage on the
Yeah.
drive home. All of that. So yeah, it's really critical that you can control word of mouth to a certain extent. So keep that in mind. That what happens within your four walls, within the employees and the interaction with the customers and the employees, absolutely critical to positive vibes going outside your four walls.
100%. Couldn't
Yeah.
agree with you more there, Thomas.
All right, man. All right. Hey, don't forget word of mouth. We are on radio every Saturday, 8 to 11 Mountain Time. No need to leave any email. There's nothing to join. You don't have to pay any money. You don't have to do anything except sit there and listen and call us or text us. We do both. And if you missed any of our podcasts or any of our videos, of course, they are all over at kmmsam.com. Click on Tom and Shane's podcast over there, and you can catch up on whatever we have done in the past. So also, don't forget, we are using StreamYard to do this. So if you are thinking about doing YouTube videos or things like that, we recommend StreamYard. It's down in the description below. And also, hey, if you like the information we provide, subscribe, ring the notification bell, like us, leave a comment, and or if you have a question about word of mouth marketing or word of mouth creation, we would certainly be likable to answer that for you. And we're on Patreon also. If you'd like to support the show, Tom and Shane will do great stuff for you personally, one-on-one, if you become a Patreon member of our podcast here. And we hope that you will. So, all right, that's going to wrap it up for us. So we'll be back on Thursday, same time, same place. And we hope you'll join us. So we will see you then. Bye for now.